So Birdie Wing Golf Girl Story Season 2 finally ended, and we need to talk about the whole series, meaning all of it together, Season 1 and 2, because this was probably one of the best sports anime I've ever watched, especially because it's an anime original anime, because there's no content to this, it's just like straight up just anime original. But let's talk about Birdie Wing because it's so good. So for all the people that's never seen Birdie Wing, I'll give you just like a brief little summary. So it's essentially about two girls, and we have like a story that follows these two girls that both like golf, and they both like golf for different reasons. The first girl, her name is Eve, and she basically has lived in poverty her whole life that we've basically seen in the anime, and she basically hustles people when it comes to golf, and eventually she's going to get mixed up with the mafia, because that's another thing this anime has, is like mafia in here. We could say mob ties or whatever. But then the other girl, her name is Aoi, and she's like a Japanese prodigy. She comes from like a family of golfers. Her father was a golfer, her mother was a golfer, and they run, and her parents like run, or like her mom and her grandfather, they run like this big golfing company. So like she's set up to be this prodigy, and they want her to be like the next best Japanese golfer, and they want her to basically go pro at like 16. So like just know these two are gonna have a fateful encounter. And from them meeting and playing the game of golf, it makes both of them be obsessed with each other, and they basically want to play each other in golf. And that's basically what happens throughout the whole anime. There's a lot of other things that happen, but that's strictly the premise. These two meet each other, and then eventually they really want to battle each other, I guess, by playing golf, because that starts a rivalry between these two, and they really want to play against each other, but something always interrupts it, it seems like, though. But yeah, let's go more in depth about some of the stuff that was happening, because Season 2 gave us so much good stuff, because Season 2 was arguably better than Season 1, mainly because they gave us so many different answers, even though Season 2 felt more like a Part 2, but they're calling it Season 2 or whatever. But there was so much information that we got that it was amazing. So let's talk about it. So when it comes to Eve, she's like this fiery type of character that only cares about the sport that she's playing. She does not care about anything else. If she was like a professional like athlete, she would be one of them ones that does not want to talk to the media. She does not care about all the politics, anything else that would be associated with it. She just wants to play her sport. That's how she is, because she does not care about none of that other stuff. She just wants to golf, and she hates that she has to do all these other things. And just know when she gets mixed up with the mafia, she's gonna like cross them, and like it's crazy the way she crossed them, because she beats them, because she ends up like beating the one person she was playing against, beats them badly in the underground mafia thing, and then eventually she runs away to Japan. And then we do find out that her actual grandfather is actually part of like a bigger mafia, and people don't want to mess with him, and he also runs like this big golf like company too. Just know this is crazy. Just know golf is in this anime is mixed with a lot of people in the mafia, and it's kind of nuts, especially with the underground world of mafia and underground golfing, which is kind of nuts that's in here. And just know she's gonna basically be almost all the underground players, give or take. She does at some point, but eventually just know she will eventually make it to be pro, because Aoi actually becomes pro because she goes into like this Japanese tournament. She becomes like the, I think it was like the breadwinner or the queen like winner or whatever, or the prize winner, the prize queen I should say, yeah, prize queen of Japan. She wins, she becomes pro like at 16, but then we see something starts happening with her. She has health problems, and just know that causes her to basically like faint at certain times, and we see that early on in Season 2. But this is when we get some of the juicy material that I was so happy about. So in Season 1, we saw that Eve, we learned a little bit about Eve, how like she ended up in this place she was at because like she has just randomly one day she appeared on shore, and like she has no memories of her past. She doesn't remember anything. And we also know that she randomly learned golf from this one guy. And that's all we have, is that she randomly learned it, and like he taught her like this different style of golf where she has all these different bullets, like the blue bullet and all that, and that's what she screams or yells out when she's about to golf. And it basically looks like it's a gun, a different type of gun shooting, because like she have one that's a pistol shotgun, have one that's a sniper rifle, that when she does the sniper rifle one, it kind of unlocks one of her memories and she starts to remember. Hey, but just know when she finally remembers, we get some juicy backstory about her, because she remembers who her dad is, and then she remembers who her mom is. But when it comes to her dad, the funny thing is her dad was actually who Aoi thinks her dad is, because Aoi thinks her dad was like this one golfer when it was not. It was actually Eve's dad. And just know there was some drama right there, because Aoi even went to confront her mom, was like, yo, is such and such my dad? And then we found out that Aoi's actual dad is the coach the whole time, because we saw that the coach cared about her so much, and you're wondering like, why does this coach care about her so much? Especially when she fainted, this man would rush to her. He would always like look after her compared to everybody else on the team. Then we find out the coach is her actual dad. And we find out the coach has this one disease where if he uses too much energy, he can strain himself, and that causes him to be bedridden. And we see he's in the hospital, and we see that Aoi actually got that passed down to her. And that kind of starts to like deteriorate her like being pro, and then she has to like kind of like take drastic measures and like pace herself and make sure she doesn't mess up. And that's when we get to like one of the final episodes when her and Eve are actually battling each other in like the British Open, because they both like become pro and like they want to go against each other in the British Open. But just know eventually Aoi's leading everybody, even like this one girl that's in America, that's this woman that's been like the prize queen for like the past few years. Just know Aoi's beating all of them, but then she faints, and then that's when Eve is mad. And even and the crazy thing is when Eve goes to the hospital to see Aoi, she's like, yo, you can't break your promise, we're gonna go against each other. But by the end, somebody's gonna leak that Eve has ties to the mafia, so then they eventually disqualify her for like 4 different years. And the thing I really like is that we get the time skip and we see both of them older, and I'm like, dog, I want to see a full series of both of them older, because like the time skip, they're basically 20 and they're both fine, because like Aoi, they basically found a cure for the disease for her, so it's just like she can actually golf now and without passing out. And I'm just like, I want a full series with these two older, because I really loved their rivalry, because their rivalry was amazing, because it was one of the best rivalries I've seen. They basically would get better like as they would see each other like doing something, and we just saw like the improvement between both of them. Because Eve, once she gets her memories, she even comes up with her own type of golf style that's a mixture between her dad and Leon, or whatever his name was the guy that trained her, and like it's really good. And then we see that Aoi inherits like her mom and dad's golf style and makes her own, the flying wings or whatever. But yeah, we just saw that both of them were getting better like as a tournament, especially when they were going against the one prize queen from America. And we just saw that both of them like were eating off each other's, or just radiating off of each other's just vibe as they were golfing, each of them with a golf style. And I just love their rivalry. But I really love both of them as characters because they're both totally different. Eve is one that's fired up. Aoi is just this one that's, she's like this nice girl that's just like, she's cold with it. Like she's nice and quiet and she's just cold with it, even though like she really wants to be close to Eve, but Eve's like, no, I don't want you, I just want to beat you in golf. And it's kind of funny, but it really is just a phenomenal anime, and I love this anime so much. It was one of my favorite anime from last year that came out, and even this year I've been looking forward to it. It was supposed to come out in the winter, but it got delayed and pushed back to the spring. But I'm happy. I'm kind of happy it got pushed out to the spring, because last year season 1 came out in the spring, and this like season 2 came out in the spring too, and it was just so good. And it made me actually enjoy golf, because like golf is okay in real life. It's alright. Like I've watched a little bit. It's not something I'm gonna go out and watch all the time, but this just made golf like actually interesting. Because the crazy thing is there was actually a golf anime that came out before, and it was just like a little short one. It was like 1 episode or whatever. But then I heard this one was coming out, and I was like, ooh, I'm curious how this is gonna go. And then it finally came out, and it was so good. So if you've not seen Birdie Wings, please watch it. In my opinion, it's one of the best golf anime we've had in the past few years, especially one that's original, that does not have a manga or anything, because I like the originality of this story. Because one, it's golf mixed with mafia, mixed with a lot of other things, with people with just a little bit of drama, tragic past, and all these other things, and just these fiery up characters. Yes, it's going to have like, you know, the random sports anime tropes, because every sports anime follows the same type of tropes, but most of the time they do something different to make each other stand out, and Birdie Wing does a lot of things different to make it stand out as a really great sports anime. And I love the storytelling in this between the two characters, especially season 2, with them giving us so much background information and them going in depth with all these two characters, especially Eve. We got so much for her, and even Aoi with like who her actual dad was. And then we did get one section with the tension, especially when Eve, they basically force Eve to leave school. They kick her out because they're like, yo, you can't be here no more because you got ties to the mafia. And then when she finally cuts them ties with the mafia because she had to do one final game and she beat the woman, because she's like, dog, I don't want to be here no more. Like, nah, I want to actually go become pro. I'm tired of like being under the mafia and doing like all these hustlings to make money and all that. I want to actually do golf fairly now that I can go against Aoi and beat her on a natural stage. And that's what she really wanted to do, because like we saw a lot of growth from her, because before she was just like a hustler, and then she met Aoi, and then she realized like, yo, I actually want to play this girl and beat her because I like the way she golfs, and she's like, I really feel like I can get better playing against her as I golf. And that's what I really liked between their two dynamic. And also Also, when it comes to Eve, her one little friend that was like her caddy was kind of hilarious. The way Eve would act towards certain people, because Eve would act like she could never remember people's name, and it was always funny with the way she was. But yeah, I really love this anime, and it's really a really good sports anime, and like golf, and it made golf actually interesting by adding all these other elements to it. And I loved all the different characters that we had in here. If you've not seen Birdie Wing, watch season 1, watch season 2. Trust me, you'll really enjoy it. It's a really good sports anime, in my opinion. Out of all the ones that have came out the past few years, it's one of the ones, in my opinion, that's the best. Because yeah, you have the other ones that have something else to it. They're building up to something longer. Like you have Blue Lock. Of course, Blue Lock is building up for something long because it's an ongoing series. It's going to be building up. You got to wait to watch. Where Birdie Wing, you get the 24 episodes, and like you get a start and you get a finish. Where something like Blue Lock, it's building up to something that eventually is going to end maybe in the future, but who knows how long. Blue Lock will probably have multiple different seasons. Well, this one just has those 2 seasons that are technically just 24 episodes. It's like a part 1, part 2, but this one just has that start and finish, and it has a really good story, and it's telling like a really good story between golf, mafia, and then 2 girls that come from 2 totally different places. One that's been in poverty, one that's basically been a rich girl that's been built up and basically been born just to be this prodigy, and another girl who comes from a tragic backstory where she used to live with her parents, but then an accident happened, killed off her parents, and then she lost her memories, and then she has to live in this country in poverty as this new person that nobody really knows, and then she's forced to kind of learn golf because she doesn't know why, and then eventually becomes a hustler, and eventually gets tied up with the mafia until these 2 girls finally meet, and then it changes each other's life, and they both want to basically just go against each other, and then you realize they actually do have some type of connection because all their parents were basically friends, or just like one of their parents was friends with the other ones, I should say. But yeah, Birdie Wing, fantastic anime. I loved it. I wish more people would watch this and talk about it, because they need to talk about this, because it's a really good sports anime though. But yeah, you enjoyed the video, why not like? If you could dislike, subscribe, really enjoyed. Please check out Birdie Wing. You can watch it on Crunchyroll, or hop on your pirate ship. You can watch it that way too though. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next video though. Bye.